So we're gonna make a bit of a detour. We're gonna come back. Okay. Um, you just right now I have not enough vine goo to move around freely. I actually need to get some more. So that calls for a brief, very brief detour, and perhaps when we come back to this island, it'll be a different angle. But I need resources because this ain't working out. Like, what's the nearest island? Hmm, we need resources, man. This right here, it's a doable mission. It's just that without the flippers, which I don't have any, it is really, really difficult to do. And I need flippers. I would like flippers to actually be able to move around willy-nilly, because I will be battling the environment, the oxygen levels. Yeah, that's basically what's preventing me from succeeding. So, we're gonna make a prep chest. Plus, I lost titanium. That was annoying part. But I hope I can find more at other islands instead of just crates. Like, I hope that's like a more of a common thing than a thing that's just like, okay, you know, your hopes of like whatever getting these materials is rare, you know. Because if it's in the game, it should be easily accessible. But no, we're gonna make a war chest. This is basically what we're gonna do. We're gonna take one of these empty chests over here or over by the furnace, whichever, and make what we need. And we have a lot of stuff. So I need to make 2 more spears again. Okay, we got that done. We'll put on here new spears. See, my issue is this wasn't like this. Yeah, I was just trying to see here. I was like, what was behind? 2 spears, you know, 2 oxygen tanks, and 2 flippers and 2 hits. So yeah, this is gonna be a minute, which is fine. I don't mind taking a back burner to do something else than constantly grind. Like, I don't mind grinding. There's something wrong with grinding, but at the same time, when it's like a major setback like this, I need more vine goo. That's really what I'm lacking. Then haven't. Unfortunately, I put the good one up. Just had a bad one for a while. And so, yeah, this chest would just be used for like prep stuff. You know, like I keep the axe on me because I'm actually using it somewhat. Got the salmon, the gun. Yeah, we're just gonna go and stop at the island. You know, supplies will come in from, you know, just floating about. You know, just work on stuff I can. Like, vine glue is everything. I had a bunch of it at one point in time, like a whole lot of it. See, I still need titanium for that. Circular zipline, not use the zipline for anything. The battery charger I'll probably end up using. Yeah, just, you know, there's not like a whole lot of in-game stuff. Like, my issue about games, especially when they start updating, you know, giving items to players, is that they do it at the very last stages of the game. The stage where you're not going to really play it anymore. You know, because I can't see myself to continuously play this game. You know, it was fun. It was still fun when I first started playing out in 2020. When I was 2 years ago. Now, older and wiser. You know, I just don't. Well, it's fun. Like, let me phrase that. I like this game, and if this was the final thoughts bit, which could be aimed towards it, but I like this game for the purpose of it being relaxing. That's one of the main reasons why I played this game a lot. It was relaxing, you know. The first 3 chapters was just like you just drifting on a boat, piecing together why the world got flooded in the first place, and it still doesn't tell you exactly why the world got flooded in the first place. It actually just that was his original intention. I don't know why that got changed. I might have to go and look that lore up, but you know, you're just like drifting about on a boat, on a raft, initially a raft, and then it becomes a boat, depending on how creative you are. And you're trying to like understand why is the world flooded? Like, how did we get here? How did we F up? You know, and then you're trying to figure it out. And while you're trying to figure it out, you know, you're just like, you know, drift into these main events. You know, like the first 3 areas was like, you know, the first page of it all, the radio tower, Vegating. You know, I think Vegating is the cruise ship looking thing. I'm pretty sure it is. And then you get to Balboa, which is the Big Bear Island. Okay, you know, things are slowly getting pieced together, and you're like, okay, this is making more and more sense as time goes on. And you know, chapter 4, I was like, okay, which is Calvarian Town. I'm like, okay, this makes some sense. It doesn't make as much sense as it previously did, but it makes some sense. I'm gonna roll with it. Oh my gosh, the boat. It's not the boat, it's just the waves. There's a way to go in the settings and change it where it doesn't do this, but I don't like altering the game's files on my personal saves. Okay. You know, you go to Caravan Town, like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's got a little bit of the same Raft charm to it. I'm like, okay, I can still play it and still relax. Chapter 5 was the whole rail tower, and you know, you start to feel that loneliness of no human direction. Like there's like it's like a big missing piece that took place here. Actually, that was, yeah. And you're like, okay, it went from telling a story to, you know, just added content that doesn't feel like it fits a purpose. You know, it doesn't feel like it creates a narrative that is purposeful. You know, and there's always been like the biggest downfall with video games and just anything nowadays is that this constant demand to always update. There's nothing wrong with updating, okay? Like I feel like, you know, change is very important. You know, it's very important because sometimes we as people or as a society can get stuck in this, you know, phase of like, okay, you know, I like the past. I don't want to change nothing on the past because I'm afraid that it might harm the future. And sometimes it can, but it's also, but without change, you know, it leads to like this constant repetition that after a period, you know, after a period of playing, you get bored and just don't want to play anymore. You know? And that makes you lose a fan base. You know, that makes you stagnant. You know, you're more comfortable just staying in the same place or not moving. So I understand change is important. It's important to, you know, evolve anything. My issue with the change in this game, especially, is that it started focusing on a more combative experience. When you first load this game, you're in the middle of nowhere and you're trying to figure out how you got here, and there's nobody to ask that question. There's no answers, okay? And so you're like, all right, the human personification kicks in of I'll figure it out, and you start playing. You start collecting more material. You start building your raft to a bigger boat. You know, some people made some interesting ships. Some people made pirate ships. Some people made small little ragtag boats. Some people, like me, made a riverboat. The riverboat was not intentional. This was just a design that manifested into a riverboat. And I've never been on a riverboat myself. But anywho, you know, as you played more and more, the game started to make sense with little stories from the first page, he was in a relationship with somebody, I guess, and here you are, like, okay, you got the first picture, okay, stuff went down, now you're here. There's nobody to tell you what happened, what led up to this point, so you're like, okay, you brush it off, and just continue forward, picking up, collecting the small pieces that told you the story of what happened. And with time, you learn that, okay, the world went to chaos. Try not to curse. The world went to chaos, and there's really no explanation on why it happened. And so you're just like venturing off to, pick up the pieces and figure out, what happened here, what led to who did this, why you do this, etc. And that goes on from the very first chapter to the third chapter, and it's done well. When they stopped at chapter 3, I was like, okay, this is the Bear Island, by the way. I was like, chapter 3 was a timestamp. It was like, okay, for me, when I officially stopped playing, I stopped in July of 2020. This was the height of the pandemic. And this was the time before I went to the different institution to study at. And so I was like, okay, I'll just come back to this whenever they updated it. And they, did gradual updates. They did like updates here and there. But it wasn't enough updates for me to be like, all right, here I'm gonna play like chapter 4, chapter 5 separate. I just wanted to wait and see, they do a complete collective of all the chapters that they're gonna do. Okay. Time passes, come back, the game is completed. I finally take the time to sit down and play, because initially I did not want to play and have to this sharp. I did not want to play and have to sit up here and remember how to play. That is not necessarily annoying, it's just that having to sit down, especially after school, like in college I refused, but now I'm done with college, I'm like, you sit down and you have to figure out how to drive again, basically. And it doesn't take much to remember how to play the game. It just took enough time for me to be like, okay, this is what this does. I don't even know what the biofuel is supposed to do. It's supposed to do something, but all the pipes connected down there. Are they? Yeah, see, these are connected. They're full. The biofuel connection is a mess, yes, but they're full, and it doesn't. I feel like the biofuel was like I need to change the directions. Now, just to back it up. Yeah, see, this doesn't give me no indication what this means, okay? But anyway, what was I saying? You have like, these nice little mechanics that come to the game, and I'm happy they're there, but they don't prove a big purpose or enough of a purpose. I personally feel like the duration of a lot of this stuff should not end so quickly. Like the flippers, these are plastic. Usually, if you use flippers or any kind or anything man-made for that instance, it should not burn up in the next 10 minutes. It should burn up in like the next 5 minutes. Not necessarily, sorry. It should take about 20-30 minutes for the stuff to burn up, okay? It will make it more, I was reading text at the time. It will make it more make sense, okay? It's not gonna take me long to beat the shark, okay? It shouldn't take me that long, to be honest. It's just a boss that is kind of clunky. And why I say it's clunky is because they're using, you need seaweed, bro. It's using a mechanic that wasn't meant for the game, okay? And I know I'm bouncing between subjects here, but basically, do you wanna like? I feel like the game took a turn that isn't meant for the game. I'm happy they stopped at chapter 6 because it felt like the writing was going down. Why are we fighting a rhino? Okay. Yes, it does have to do the key, but just why? I could have thought of many other stories. Like I could have created a story where man, where let's see this. Okay, there's something else out. Like I could have created a more interesting story simply by just saying like, hey, there's a man here who lives on this little island. You find him, and he just like, he just hates himself for causing this much destruction for the world. And there's nothing that y'all can say to each other. At some point, crying over spilled milk. It's there. Water has engulfed the entire planet again. It's there. It can't be fixed. All you can do is continue to find survivors. And it'd be more interesting to meet more characters, hear their stories, and be like, okay, and then like a world would have been formed on a world. But no, 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 no. We write a story where it has to do with a shark, okay? A shark that has no form of human intelligence, no form of human communication that could possibly tell us what took place on this world. And I'm quite sure there's like a little comic book series that they probably done created probably for extra revenue, I'm just saying. And it's like, based on the game. I'm not gonna read it. It's like Halo, even though the comic books was created before the game, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, it's just goofy. It's really goofy. I also hate that you can't kill the shark, the rhino shark, with just normal means. That's what the game is built around. Just you being, and let's say, clever. You just broke. I gotta go to another island because I don't have enough fine goo. Which is another thing I've noticed in the more recent updates. In the previous updates, this whole area was covered with resources, like vine grew everywhere. However, after the updates, it's less. And I'm like, why do you want to make a game more grindy than it already is? This game is a time investment. Like if you have a life outside of gaming, you are screwed because there's, let me go to the. Well, no, did I want to turn around? Yeah, turn around. Oh, this is not the actual island. This is just some little rock. Okay. Anywho, anywho, I'm trying to focus on this because I don't want to turn too far. I want to just. Bro. One sec. This stupid. It's interesting. It's nah. I don't know. I just feel like it's just lazy writing to create that ending there where it doesn't make much sense. Like when we was at the what's this place called? Tangara, right? It would have been kind of cool to have an understanding of why the robots were there, because it doesn't really tell you much of why the robots were there. They just kind of exist to kill you for whatever reason. That was to keep the rat population down, but I guess not. It would be nice to hear if you want to make a unique storyline that revolves around the shark, it would have been kind of cool to see and hear because he said there was 12 people that used to run the world, okay? So you have 12 people, who could potentially write down their thoughts on what they did, like what their final moments are, what their regrets for what they would have done differently. You could have created a whole lore system based on that scenario alone, and it's not difficult. It's not difficult, you know. You just have to create different personalities, you know. You could have like made like the cunning man, the cunning lawyer, the sad businessman, you know, the vengeful individual. You know, you could like you can create stories. The cook, the baker. You know, it could be something goofy in there. The smart man who just happened to win the lottery but can't spend the money. You know, that would have been funny. You know, just simple stuff. Simple stuff that actually creates character. But no, all the dialogue is just based off one, two, three people that you don't have no form of connection with. You don't even know who these characters are. Like, I remember Ditto. That's it. I think that's his name, Ditto. Ditto. Like, why do I care about this character? What is this character important? Why should I care about this character? You know, it's just simple questions that always should be asked when you create a video game. Why does this character matter? Simple. Why, as I, the audience, why, as I, the consumer, care about a character that does not contribute to the game? Just simple stuff, you know. Everybody cares about their own character that starts at the beginning of the game simply because, and yes, I am ranting because practically when I come back and beat the shark, because we're probably at the last level to be honest. I'm not sure how much the shark had bit off. You know, when I beat the shark, you know, it's gonna like it's gonna be a quick beat up. That's all it is. You know. Turn ship partially. Okay. Should be on the way. Yeah. Okay. No, it's just like the small things that gets overlooked. They're not all video games. It's just a lot of the games of that era, and perhaps a little bit of today. Just some stuff like, you know. I don't think I'm gonna be able to play this or beat this tonight simply because of how suspect to the other area it shouldn't be. It's an island. You know, it's just one of the bigger, chunky islands, which I'm not a big fan of those because they're hard to land on. But yeah, you know, just like yeah, it's just those moments, you know. It's just yeah. Because I'm more annoyed that I couldn't beat the shark in its simplicity. You know, I'm dealing with water, having to bait the flipping shark to hit the pillars. And then, is this the bear island? It better not be, because this doesn't really constitute as an island. Hold on, I keep getting pushed the opposite direction. It doesn't technically constitute as an island though. It's a landmass, yes, but island specifically, no. It's just, I guess, my biggest pet peeve of the game is that the direction that is intended to go stopped at chapter 3, which was the Bear Island. Because after the Bear Island, you go to this island, another island, and then the final island. But it doesn't give you closure of what was really supposed to happen. You know, because the very last island gives you like this dude who's like over here stealing from other people and trying to, you know, hide it. And it might sound good on paper, but when you put it in practice and put it in the video game, it just sounds kind of cheesy. Like, we go from like the last island being semi-serious with the guy and the 12 other fellows, the 2 dozen people just regretting for whatever sin they have, cast out into the world. And then we come over here to some thief, and yes, I use some plurally, like some thief just out of nowhere. Talking about he just, out for no reason. He doesn't have a purpose. He just going around stealing stuff from people who ever land on the island without a reason to. Like, if people have things that are precious to him, he'll come out of nowhere, take it from them, just out of spite. And it's just like, why? Like the smart people, smart kids that came by, he stole from them. The dude with the doll, he stole from them. Just why? Why is this here? This is a time in this game, in this dimension, where the flipping world has, in some cases, came to an end. Everybody's floating on this raft, and you are out here stealing from people just for the hell of it. So, scared me.